Welcome to the Scaling Japan podcast, a podcast about how to grow your business from $100,000 and beyond in the land of the rising sun.
Welcome to the Scaling Japan podcast. I'm your host, Tyson Batino, and on today's episode, we have Bela Schweiger. Bela provides full-scale market entry assistance to international corporations entering the Japanese market. He has helped corporations like the Coca-Cola Company, Nokia, General Mills, and L'Oreal, and was also responsible for leading the way for the revamp of Häagen-Dazs in Japan. Thanks for that, as I love Häagen-Dazs, and even helped AI-driven ESG solutions into the Japanese market. And today I wanted to discuss Bela's experience with the revamp of Häagen-Dazs and how innovation and partnerships were a key part of it. Bela, could you please introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. Thank you for the invitation. I am very happy to be here. Just a little bit about myself. Very often people struggle pronouncing my name, both Bela and Schweiger. I am Hungarian, and I have been in Japan since 2005, longer than I dare remember. I worked in different industries across different sectors of the industries, as you mentioned, from fast-moving consumer goods to electronics to even financial services. And now I am doing AI and related areas alongside others, learning while doing. That's one of the mottos that I like to live by.
Yeah, you have a very impressive background in history. Yeah, I wanted to interview you for our series on scalers, people who have either scaled their own company or helped lead a global company to expand their presence in the Japanese market, which you've done many times.
Yes.
And before we dive into Häagen-Dazs, wanted to let the audience know a little bit more about yourself and kind of what you're doing now. What type of companies do you normally help to expand to the Japanese market?
Well, I try to leverage the best of the experiences that I gained over the years. So fundamentally, I try to help fast-moving consumer goods companies, food and beverage sector. Those are the two areas that I like to delve into. In addition to that, where I see the biggest help, and often I refer to myself as I am trying to offer Z to 8 solutions. And to me, it means that to me, everything starts with almost the end result. Where do you want to go? What do you want to achieve? And whenever I'm approached and whenever I worked with my prior companies, it was always the question during the interview process as well. And they approached me to join them. I always wanted to find out, where are we heading? Where are we going? Because for me, that sets the overall approach and where best I can help. The moment I understand that, I can immediately adapt and adopt the help I am offering. Another difference that I see in what I offer when it comes to helping Japanese companies scale up or Japanese companies even entering the market is not just the theoretical, this is an incredibly huge opportunity. Japan, any category you mention is a multi-billion-dollar category. But what is more important is what is it that you wish to achieve in these respective categories? And do you understand who you want to talk to? And once that is agreed on and understood, I do the size of the prize, if you will, and then I offer actual introductions, setting up meetings, and very often I roll up my sleeves and do a lot of work for these companies myself. So that would sum it up. You may say I'm a jack of all trades, and I believe I am not a master of all, but at least I'm a master of a few.
or was it jack of all trades and a master of some that are very important
Yes,
and impactful.
exactly.
I would consider myself the same. I think it's let's say if you're I think you're telling me like earlier just like how curiosity plays a big part for you. And I think if you're
Yeah.
very, very curious, it's hard to avoid being a jack of all trades.
Yes, absolutely. I really feel that if you lose that curiosity, I have a lot of favorite authors and favorite books I read, but there is one quote from Rudyard Kipling that I keep close at hand, close at heart all the time. And his quote, and what is he most known for to a lot of people, is he is the author of The Jungle Book, one of the most famous books among kids and adults alike. And he says that I keep 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I know, and their names are what and who and why, where and how and when. And I think once you have uh, these 6 honest serving men helping you, the 6 honest serving men talking to you, asking you questions back, and you asking them questions, I think you already are on halfway to your success.
And with my kind of like advisory to CEOs and startups, I would say that's probably actually 75-80% of my job is just to ask those questions.
Yes, and you know, you are, Tyson, you're so spot on with this, because I think this is so simple, yet it is so profound, and we tend to rush ahead and only answer one or two, but we tend to forget to look at all of them. And once you don't have all these ticked off, you are going to miss a few things in whatever you want to achieve. And that relates back to scaling. Yes, you want to go ahead. You want to sell more. You want to be present in more places. You want to have a bigger campaign. But do you have the right talent in your company, external or external, to be able to do that? The who, and not to mention or not to forget the to who. Which is, again, something that, in my view, should be the starting point. Creating those amazing consumer personas, client personas, and then going through the same, as you say, similar to you. I probably spend most of my waking moments asking about these questions, and probably do the same in my dreams.
Please continue. Like I think, yeah, I think you mentioned the who.
Yes, the who, the what, the when, the why. Again, going back to scaling, you identify Japan as Japan being the market that I want to be in, and I want to scale it up. Okay, what is that proposition that you are bringing to this market? And once you verify that that proposition is actually relatable, acceptable, then you need to take it through from A to Z and Z to A. Very often with scaling, what I find, partners, companies, entrepreneurs, they tend to stop at the where I found the partner, and they will do the rest for me from here. And very often that doesn't work. That does simply not work. Scaling, you mentioned as one of the key topics today. Scaling, you enter the market, you established yourself, you have identified a distributor. Very often, that distributor is coming as either a recommendation from somebody else, or you do your own search and you say, oh, this is the biggest distributor, let me work with that, and he will or she will scale my business up. I would say it's a great approach, but it's not always the approach that will lead you to success. Why I'm saying that is because if that potential partner is not as vested behind your product, is not as interested and as curious about your product as you are, and not as passionate as you are, the push within the organization simply will not be there, and you will be just one among the many that they represent, and they try to make a quick profit and then move on to someone else. And that's why I feel identifying that consumer persona, the end user that you want to reach out to, is really mission critical in the way that you are scaling up your business.
Thank you for sharing that. It was an interesting thread, so I want to make sure could dive a little bit deep before we jump. And also, like with a distributor as well, like, how can you enable this distributor to actually sell your product effectively? Like,
Yes.
like maybe you might have to change the formula
Yes.
for food and beverage. And
Tyson, I believe that we can have a separate podcast about how you localize successfully. I believe you had a fantastic discussion about that with Timothy Connor already about localization and what is the secret ingredient to be successful. One little caution there that I advise to anyone who would like to scale up their business and brand in Japan is build up your core first. Build up who you are first before you start going into all kinds of different tangents with your own brand. And how far you localize, it is also finding the balance. Be relevant again to that end user with the taste profile, with the packaging profile, you name it. But don't go so far that you become unrecognizable. You localize it to the point where you are not standing away from the rest of the crowd, and you lose that mystique and mystery that you are not from here. You understand how you are successful or can be successful here, but still maintain what makes you you. There's an interesting saying, and I try to find out who said it. When I do, I will drop you a note so we can quote the person properly. But it goes somewhere along the lines: if everybody wants to be like you, or if you want to be like somebody else, who is going to want to be like you? And for me, that is a big warning when it comes to entering a market and scaling the market up. Oh, we need to do product innovation. We need to do new flavors. And all of a sudden, these flavors just overwhelm your initial proposal. And people won't hardly recognize what the original was and is. And if I can give an example, which is a great positive, and at the same time, to me, as someone who has been observing what they have been doing in the Japanese market and how amazingly they scaled it up, KitKat comes to mind. Now, KitKat is always quoted as one of the best success stories in the Japanese market. It is, no question about it. Where I have a little bit of concerns these days is there's nothing but new flavor, new flavor, new flavor. I like KitKat, and sometimes I want to have a break, and I would like to get the original one, and it's so hard to find anymore. And to me, that's a little bit of a warning. And if we think of another major international case, is how you start and what you start with on your journey of scaling your whole business up. There's a temptation in Japan to go down the avenue of licensing your brand and the product extension way. One great example of that would be Hershey in Japan. Hershey is fantastic. You walk into the nearest store, you will find a Hershey donut, a Hershey this, a Hershey that. but you will hardly find the original Hershey chocolate and the original Hershey Kiss. And that to me is a big warning of when you are scaling up your business, always feed it back into the core of what you are doing.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so let's dive into Häagen-Dazs. And so I guess my first question would be, what was kind of the situation when Häagen-Dazs first brought you in to help?
Wow, that's quite a question. Häagen-Dazs arrived in the Japanese market in 1984. So this year it's a celebratory year for the brand. I wonder if a lot of people know or understand that Häagen-Dazs was born in the United States. It was born in 1961, and it took as many years, 1984, to arrive in Japan. Initially, the brand was, in fact, not doing that amazingly well. One of the key reasons for that was the original import product was in pints. Anyone who spends a little time in Japan will very quickly understand that at the dinner table, sharing and digging into the same big bucket, or in this case, the same pint, is not something that is second nature to Japanese.
My wife would get a heart attack.
I assume your wife is Japanese.
Yes.
So indeed, and again, it was the amazing openness from at that time it was still Pillsbury owning and not General Mills, which later became the owner of the franchise and the brand. When they said, "Okay, understood," and as opposed to trying to really push, they said, "Do you have a solution? Do you have a recommendation? We understand the concern. What is the recommendation?" And again, it's in the annals of ice cream history. The actual mini cup format, the 120 milliliter little mini cup, as a format to sell ice cream, was invented by Häagen-Dazs in Japan. Immediately, the reaction in the trade, and now we are coming to the early scaling up of the brand. The reaction from the trade became incredibly positive overnight, because they were concerned stocking the big pints in the shelf space was not even enough for those. There at that time there weren't enough refrigerators. So as a price value equation, the trade could also be selling more products, as in items, not in actual milliliters, but making also more money because they were selling smaller items, but more of them. So then it started to grow from initially the supermarket chains, and now you are talking about getting closer to the booming years of Japan. So anything imported was something that people wanted to have. And again, the initial flavor lineup of Häagen-Dazs was very much in line with the international flavors that you will find. There was, however, already one difference, and this leads me back to understand and really do your homework about the market and how and what you want to scale up and where you want to put the emphasis in your own portfolio. Why am I saying that? Because almost any market you go to, the number one ice cream flavor tends to be chocolate. When you look at Asia at large, and more specifically Japan,
is it vanilla?
It's vanilla.
Got it.
You are spot on. Absolute quoting teachers in Japan, you get a Hanamaru for that, the little flower, full mark, thank you. And there is a historic reason for that, because chocolate was not something that was known, tasted, widely available in Asia for a long, long time. Even today, if you go to, for example, China, you will find a lot of people who never ever tasted chocolate in their lives yet. So vanilla is the number one flavor in this market. And again, listening to what is happening and how you can scale it up, vanilla became the core flavor of the Häagen-Dazs offering. And then, as volume started to grow, as more sales points started to emerge, and again, we are coming to another key important point, that you need to find the right balance between the pull and push when you are doing your scaling up. Pushing through this to trade is incredibly important. Breathing down the neck of your distributors and promoting and being in a nice way, being in their face, bringing them information about what's happening in the market in general. So becoming valuable to them as well. Looking and bringing information what their competitors are doing is incredibly helpful to them. So do that consistent, gentle, but firm push. At the same time, work on the those who love your products and let them speak up. And this is exactly how Häagen-Dazs managed to, I think, speed up a little bit how its distribution grew, because there started to be more and more consumers going in and asking supermarkets, later on asking convenience stores, why don't you sell Häagen-Dazs? I would like to buy Häagen-Dazs. And that's when things start to really work well together. And that's when you start you are ending in the enviable situation of anyone wanting to scale up the business, distributors, wholesalers, retailers, consumers directly knocking on their door saying, I want your product, I want your service. And from then on, you also need to be careful how you do it. Are you jumping on each and every opportunity to scale up? I would say, again, go back to the 6 fundamental questions. Is it the right time for the brand to go in that channel? Can I support it? Because again, I'm sure you have been equally frustrated as I am sometimes frustrated when I see something I would love to try, I would love to experience, just to learn that it's not available. It already sold out. So it's a really important element of the exercise in scaling up, of trying to get a full grasp of what that demand is going to be.
This episode of the Scaling Japan podcast is sponsored by Hashi Media, your agency for doing influencer marketing in Japan. Learn more about them in the show notes.
How you do that, sometimes actually it's tricky. And one interesting element here is your company ready to manage any potential crisis? And if there is a crisis, how can you turn it into a little bit of a positive as opposed to just, oops, we didn't think of this. And this leads me very quickly to the question of, when you scale up, it's not just the operation. It's not just how many more units you import, or how quickly and how soon are you going to look for local manufacturing, which I believe, especially in tangible products, foods, beverages, sooner or later in your scale-up plan, it will pop up that to be more flexible to the changes in local demand, you actually probably are better off having some sort of local manufacturing or co-manufacturing agreement. Going back to my example on KitKat, the real breakthrough for KitKat in the Japanese market happened when they opened their factories, their local factories. Similarly to Häagen-Dazs, I would say. Once local manufacturing capabilities became available, all of a sudden that opened up a completely new world for innovation and new product development.
We elaborate more on that, more in terms of the innovations and developments that were achieved afterwards.
Yes. Once you established and you have the presence, you have at least an awareness that you can build on, both in the trade and both from a consumer point of view. The question of, okay, while you are really relentlessly focusing on having the core everywhere and anywhere, and I'll come back to this later when I will respond to your original question, what was the situation when I joined Häagen-Dazs? Sooner or later, the question comes up, okay, so what can you offer? What can you give us in addition to what you already have? And then once you have the local manufacturing capability, and in the case of most of the companies that I know, including KitKat, including Häagen-Dazs, you bring in the R&D capability. So you are making a lot of the things and creating a lot of the things in-house. Which direction it will go? In the case of Häagen-Dazs, again, another first coming from Japan, large-scale selling of green tea ice cream. That green tea was invented and developed by Häagen-Dazs in Japan, and then taken back to the rest of the world. And again, you can ask me how did it come about? It really came about by that continuous curiosity and inquisition, and at that time traveling all across the country. So what ice cream people do eat in Japan? And it was, yes, vanilla. In fact, in Japan, it's a surprising ranking of the number 5 ice cream flavors. That is, in Japan it would be vanilla. Second would be strawberry. Third and fourth jointly would be green tea and chocolate. And the fifth is, in many cases, anything to do with cookies and cream. And then all the other flavors come way down the list, with one exception, which is a unique seasonal flavor in almost all across the industry during the season, and it's rum raisin. So if you did the analysis right now, you would find that for Häagen-Dazs, rum raisin would be in the top 5 selling flavors.
Oh, wow.
And there's also an interesting story about this, which can help you to keep that scale and come back to that scale when the season is right. The rum raisin is in the market from mainly late September, early October to the beginning of March. And then it is off the market until next autumn. And you would say, why would a company do that? It's exactly that you have that loyal base that is an avid consumer, and you want to create a little bit of a withdrawal syndrome to them. And at the same time, they are the ones who are incredibly receptive to any new flavors that you would introduce to the market, because they want to try, because they are craving that uniqueness that comes with one of their favorite flavors. Initially, it was just a seasonal flavor, but it was so successful that it was brought back next year and the year after and the year after. And this also leads me to your original question of how to scale your business. I would go one step back to say Japan is such a seasonal market still that depending on what you are offering to the market, time the launch, the introduction, or your campaigns to coincide with the right season for your product. Once you do it correctly, you will see the results immediately, because again, the the whole market is about that flavor or that season, and you will fit right into that theme. It will be natural for people to, yes, of course. Think of what is around right now. When you walk around in the stores, it's all about sakura, right?
Definitely.
Yes, it's all about that. Now even what was
Right,
yesterday? The day before, I read an article. Even ASICS, the sneaker maker, they introduced a sakura themed
design.
limited edition sneaker. So it's all part of your keeping yourself in the mind of your end users, and part of scaling up, because these extra packages usually are given that extra shelf space that you need to scale up.
Interesting.
Well, there are so many interesting things that you can do when it comes to scaling up, and that we also briefly talked about the where you scale up and which channels you wish to go after. Homework number one is understanding that scenery in Japan. And I think everyone who wants to learn about the Japanese market is in a privileged situation, because I cannot really compare this market to any other market that I worked in, which comes with such a rich environment when it comes to trying to find out data, facts, and figures. Almost for anything and everything, there is an association that you go to, and on a silver plate you get the information you are looking for. It's just using that information the best way you can, and that slowly, gradually leads me to, so what was the situation when I joined Häagen-Dazs? And that was an interesting discussion I had with General Mills, who is the majority owner of the joint venture, the Häagen-Dazs joint venture in Japan. I was employed by General Mills, and my boss in Minneapolis, when I had the final interview and we shook hands on the deal, and I asked him, so what do you expect me to do? The business was not doing badly at all. It was profitable, but it was not growing either. And he simply looked at me and said, turn the business around. That was, that was the one simple sentence he told me, and basically said, off you go, get it done. So what I needed to understand very quickly is, so what happened? And I think with any businesses that reach a certain scale, but whether it's a small scale that they feel comfortable with, and they feel that the business is chugging along nicely, stable, profitable, but somehow when you reach that stage, a certain complacency may kick in. The hunger is not there, or not 100% there anymore. Yeah, we had an okay month. So next month will be better. Yes, next month is better, but nothing significantly new happens. People come to the office, go to the meetings, the regular partners, and it's the run of the mill. And I think that was a situation I found myself in when I joined Häagen-Dazs. And the reason why I also took you back in the history of the brand was that when I join any company, any new organization, the first thing I do is I learn everything I can about how it was born, how it was created, what it does, what it doesn't do, what it can do. And to my surprise, when I walked around in the office and I asked people, can you tell me about Häagen-Dazs? What do you know about Häagen-Dazs? And I found out to my surprise that most people, although they have been with the company for several years, they either forgot or didn't know it anymore.
I love that test. It really, really goes to show the communication
Hmm.
or lack of communication.
Yes. Yes, and I came from other fast-moving consumer goods industries, and whenever there was a new product launch planned, especially the Coca-Cola was great at that. And I worked in innovation there as well, among other things. Whenever there was a new product being launched in the market, the staff, uh, everyone got a sample to drink and take home. And I asked in Häagen-Dazs, so we are about to launch a new product, or there was actually when I joined, there was a new product on the market, and I asked the people in the office, so what does it taste like? I couldn't buy it yet, and they looked at me. We don't know. We never tried it. We never tasted it, and that I found absolutely shocking. So the very first thing I did in my new role, I made it mandatory that staff, everyone from the production line to R&D to everyone in Häagen-Dazs need to get a sample of anything new going out to the market before it hits the market. And it changed the dynamism significantly. And one of the reasons for this is, you know, we do talk about our work at home, right? I cannot think of anyone who wouldn't talk a little bit about their work at home. And
That's a very good point.
what's
Like
wrong?
it generates hype
Yeah,
in
exactly,
advance.
exactly, and that's exactly what happened. People took home the new sample. The family tasted. The next thing you knew, their kids in school, their spouses at work, or talking to the other spouses. Häagen-Dazs is bringing out a new this, new that.
Yeah, because it's like
I
you have a secret. It's like you have
Yes,
a secret that you're sharing.
exactly, and that creates the oh. So when is it coming? Okay, I'll go and find it out. So um, to sum it up, never underestimate the power of your own people as the best advocates for your business or your service. And you never know who they know. And this again leads me to how you scale up successfully in Japan. To me, it's really understanding this amazing spider web of connectivity that you have in Japan. It's it's I think a firm belief of mine that Japan is fundamentally an agricultural society. The way people communicate, news, it spreads around very, very quickly. And this is probably one of the few societies when, competition is very tough and very hard wherever you go. But if something needs to unify people, they will come together and do that as well. And sometimes people find it strange that you do go out and have drinks and lunches and dinners with your competitors, and that's completely normal in Japan. And I encourage everyone to do that when it comes to scaling up, because you never know where that wonderful, great new idea can come from, just a
Mhm.
casual chat with somebody somewhere here and there.
Hello, listeners. I'm excited to announce my live cohort course to help you increase your sales in Japan. Many foreigners struggle to turn first meetings into second meetings because they lack a sales pamphlet that follows the standard format in Japan. Even if you have a good first meeting, your internal contact will hand over your current sales pamphlet to the decision maker, and they'll take one look and say they don't get Japan. My live 4 session cohort course will teach you how to make a sales pamphlet in English using the standard format in Japan. You will receive a sales pamphlet template, more than 10 examples from Japanese companies, and a lot of feedback so you can end the course with a sales pamphlet that gets more meetings and therefore more sales. Getting one extra deal will more than pay off the course, so joining is a no-brainer. You can find more details of the course at scalingyourcompany.com/sales pamphlet. And we'll have a link in the show notes. It really
Yeah.
just really fosters the brainstorming process.
Yes. Yes. Brainstorming is vital when you are scaling up, and brainstorming, where that idea comes from, it's usually out there already somewhere. You just and you asked me earlier what I bring, what I offer to people I work with. I tend to describe it as I help them to make connections between seemingly unconnected things, and just taking them through very often from an end user point of view why it would be interesting for you to go there and how you can scale up your business. And if I may digress a little bit from Häagen-Dazs, I would like to give you another example where two ad hoc meetings led to a collaboration. And that ad hoc meeting, one was with BMW, with their electric car department, and the other one, a business meeting, in fact, discussing Häagen-Dazs with Costco Japan.
Right.
And in that meeting, before the meeting, whenever I go to Costco, I always do and look around the store, what they are selling, what they are offering, what's new, what's the treasure hunt that made Costco so successful, how they scaled up. That would be another amazing podcast that you could have with their inspiring CEO, Ken Hiro. I walk around and I see 27 million yen diamond rings. I see almost 1 million yen high definition TVs. And I just came directly fresh from my meeting with BMW. And I was thinking of, why not? Why not start selling cars in Costco? And casually, I mentioned it to the CEO, and he said, "Well, that's interesting. What do you have in mind?" And I said, "Well, you have a parking lot. Most of the most successful Costco outlets are usually in the countryside, where people tend to have more than one car, and they do need a car to get around. You have a parking lot. Why not offer test drives then and there? No need for booking. You just before shopping, after shopping, you just hop in a car and drive along in the cordon of parking lot." Oh, okay. And I mentioned it back to BMW and said, you are insane, but we are okay to talk to him because, again, the image of Costco is not what people think of Costco is like in Japan. And next thing you knew, they actually started that campaign, which led to sales of the I range of BMW. So
I could see, because I could see maybe Japanese people would be more hesitant to drive it, like, go in the city. But
yes.
if it's just there, they're not interfering, or I guess I can't think of a way to translate meiwaku, but it's definitely not meiwaku there.
No, not at all. Not at all. And it's you stand out as well. You are not in a dealership. You just create that buzz element that is very often needed. And again, when it comes to scaling, I very often recommend people wanting to enter the Japanese market, look at the unusual distribution channels to start off with and create the buzz there. And Costco could be an interesting example for that. They are very open to new ideas. Now they have 32 stores and growing, if I'm not mistaken. Immediately you have the feedback that you need at the scale you need to, it's basically a large scale trial that you run. Not to mention that you will probably make profit already with that simple little trial if it's a food or beverage type of product. And armed with the results of it was selling really well, you can go to potential other partners and open that door. And I believe when it comes to scaling, you you somehow need to find that initial great idea and the initial great partner. So you have a reference point, which is vital for the Japanese market. And mind you, that reference point may not need to be necessarily in Japan. It works rather nicely if that example, once you understand your Japanese partners are doing business outside Japan as well, once you understand that, they may already know about your service product from another market that they are present in, and that can make your life very, very easy, surprisingly easy. And if you don't mind, I give another Costco example for you. I was also responsible for all the General Mills brands in Japan and launching most of them and scaling them up. But one was coincidental. In fact, Costco Japan came to me saying that we want that product because it's selling incredibly well in Korea.
Oh.
And imagine how this whole thing happened. There was a Japanese manga which was translated into Korean and distributed and very successful in Korea. And in that manga, the characters were eating this product, which is a General Mills product. In Costco Korea, it basically they were running out of stock. So they are looking closely at each other, what is selling, what is not selling. And I got a phone call from Costco Japan to say, we want this product. For successful scaling, I think sometimes luck is needed. But luck only comes when you continue to have that curiosity in you to do whatever you do. So going back to Häagen-Dazs, the biggest problem was that this somewhat complacent approach led to the younger consumers were not that interested in Häagen-Dazs anymore for two reasons. The flavors were not that appealing to them anymore. They were looking for new and different ones, and they did not understand what the brand was about, and they did not understand why they need to pay the premium price. So my job was to bring the younger generation back into the brand while keeping the core users happy as well.
Gotcha.
And that led to a lot of the new innovative flavors, and also some of the innovative formats. Again, the way you package your products and services, and for services, it's the same. You need to add the flavors that the end user would want or doesn't yet know they want it, but you can come up and offer it to them. One example for you for that, for Häagen-Dazs would be when I was there and looking at the younger consumers, these ladies wanted European inspired sweets. And that exactly what was the brief to the R&D team, and that inspired a lot of amazing new flavors inspired by European cakes like opera or forêt de noir, translated into an ice cream format. Of course, the crispy sandwich, which is again a unique innovation in Japan, leading to what prompted that development was that people actually wanted to eat ice cream, but the mini cup is not something that you can eat on the go. Because you walk around with a cup in your hand and a little spoon in the other while you are still wearing your suit or your nice dress. And that led to, okay, so what can we offer that you can hold in your hand and walk around still, and have that unique experience that only this brand can give to you. And this also led to another element in the scaling up, looking at points where you will offer the product that is unexpected and usually not something that you would find. And this new channel that during my time was opened up, and that was vending machines for Häagen-Dazs. The typical place that you buy a product like that is usually convenience stores or supermarkets.
Yes.
But we found out that there are amazing places where people really want to eat ice cream, and it's not there. And the only way you can put it there is there are no convenience stores nearby, or at least not at that time. Now it's a little different. And it turned out to be an incredibly successful distribution channel. One of those channels was we approached zoos with the vending machines, and they were, wow, please, this is how many we want, because the kids get hungry and they want that sugar hit. And sometimes the parents want it. So what better than walk up to a Häagen-Dazs vending machine in between the aquarium and the lion's cage.
And people have a much more positive experience at the zoo too with that.
Yes, absolutely. Another new channel through vending machines was the ski resorts, where we placed these machines. So you came off the slope, and wow, I still want to be sober enough so I can go a few more times. So you don't reach out for the beer yet, but you will reach out for the ice cream. Maybe it was a big surprise for me, but the most successful vending machine in these channels became one in an unexpected location. You guessed vanilla right. I wonder if you could guess this one right. Where do you think a vending machine, an ice cream vending machine, would be an incredibly huge hit?
So I think you already said ski resorts. I think you said
Ski
zoo.
resort was one. Yes, the zoos.
Yeah, my original thought would have been like Disneyland or theme park, but I think you're
theme
referring to.
parks. Yeah, they are among the successful lists. But there is one.
I'll go for one. I'll take a wild guess.
Okay.
Big office buildings.
Your big wild guess is the second best wild
Okay.
guess. We managed to do that, and it was very successful. But the number one most successful one for vending machines became hospitals.
Oh,
Yes.
gotcha.
The moment you hear hospitals,
Yeah.
I could hear your mind seeing the hospital entrance and saying, "Damn it, I forgot to bring something for." I am just visiting, and it's usually bringing some snacks. Why not an ice cream? Where can I find it? There's a vending machine. Whew. That's for me, and of course, patients can come down and get that little extra treat for themselves. But the best-selling one, the highest sell-through rate for vending machines were especially in hospitals. So I think scaling up is something that can be done. I believe that the secret to that scaling is always just keep learning, and keep those 6 honest serving men at your service all the time.
And yeah, how that kind of ended up leading to product innovation,
Yes.
which led to scaling.
Channel innovation, joint activities with other partners. Yes, it all comes into a full circle of how you can successfully scale up your business. Once the momentum is there, the secret is to keep this momentum. And I introduced a session, and I try to do that with any and every company I work with and be engaged with, is have at least once a year a day when we just stop and look back and see where we came from, and then again be reinvigorated with the thought of, wow, we achieved a lot, and this is how far we can still go.
Ah,
And
gotcha. Like for example, like this year or this was a half year quarter, like we launched all these products, they were a success,
yes,
and it kind of shows that it builds that momentum.
yes. And I tell you where this came to me, or how this idea came to me. I was practicing Taekwondo for quite a number of years, and the inspiring master always had one day once a year. You know, the usual lineup in a dojang, which is the place where you practice Taekwondo, is that the first row is the black belts, and then all the way down to the white belts, standing at the very far end of the dojo. And once a year, the master said all black belts need to wear a white belt, and they will be at the back of the room. And why he did that was because the moment you pass that first exam and you get your first degree black belt, you tend to forget where you came from. And it was an amazing reminder to all those who achieve that coveted status and feel again what it is like being there and being or feeling clumsy and feeling not you don't really know what you are going to do. But the map is there because you know exactly how you can scale yourself up to become a black belt. You just need to go through the steps and reach there. But once you reach there, bring it back to a full circle, because that will, in fact, give you two things: a sense of amazing achievement that, oh, I did this, and a sense of reckoning to say, next time, maybe I could do this a little differently. I could take a different route and I will get there faster, or I could even learn more or be much better when I get where I will ultimately get or aim to get.
Thank you so much for sharing that and
Pleasure.
for sharing us the story about Häagen-Dazs. And yeah, I think it was a really good lesson in just innovation and also just kind of getting alignment, or what's it, getting the team to also spread the word for you. But where can the audience find you on the internet?
I am on LinkedIn. I'm rather active on LinkedIn. That's by far the easiest and best way to find and connect
And
with me.
we'll put a link to your LinkedIn profile in the show notes.
Okay, that would be
Thank,
fantastic.
thank you so much, Bella.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure.